advisory on the MOT was fluctuating on the front brakes, which means the discs are worn basically. So we're going to change them and put new pads in. Obviously you have to do them in pairs. Because we're going to put some new brake pads in, we need to just undo this lid, because that liquid's going to come further up. Bit of a towel down there just in case it spills. We're on the minimum at the moment, so I expect that to go up when we put the new pads in. The pad thickness just replaces the liquid. The first thing to do while the brakes are still on is there's a little disc retaining nut, which is a spline bolt. Well, that was nice and slack. All it does is hold the disc in place. Alright, next is to release the caliper itself. And there's two, I think it's 7mm Allen bolts in there. And again, these shouldn't be very tight at all. Let's screw them all the way out. Yeah. Alright, then just lever this off. Being really careful not to kink the hose. And what I'll do is I'll just tie up that up. These pads out as well. Right, next to these two big bolts, I'll try the impact gun first, see if it works. No, that's solid. No, that's solid as well. Right, we're at breaker bar, 21mm. Oh, solid. Oh, solid. So you can use a ratchet now, a ratchet socket, that's okay. Or you can cheat a bit. Two big 21mm bolts. And that's the carrier off. Just give this disc a bit of a tap. And off it comes. So the new discs have a special coating on them, so they're not covered in oil like they normally are. So there's no need to clean them, however I will clean them because my hands are dirty. First of all, let's get that little spline retaining screw in, retaining bolt. Just give that a little nip. A little nip, doesn't need much. Right. Not tight, you don't want that to round off or anything. It's just purely to hold the disc in place while you're doing everything else. Okay. Put this caliper holding bracket back on now. This is the big two 21mm bolts. Bit of Loctite on these if you want to keep them in place. Get them threaded. Then we'll get the torque wrench on them. Right. Again, check your handbook for all these torque settings. I'm going to come back and torque that up once I've done everything else. We'll slide the nice new clean pad in there first. Now I might have to push the piston back. Yeah, I've pushed the piston back, never mind. The front brake's easier because you can just use a simple pushing tool. You could just use a pair of clamps. But I've got a tool. You just wind it out. That pushes the piston back in. Makes space for the new pads, because the pads obviously and the disc is thicker than they were before. Nice. That's the piston pushed all the way back in. Clip that disc into position and then just slide it over the other one, and then we've got our little Allen bolts. Now these actually, if they weren't sliding, you need to take them out and grease them, but we're fine as we are. Get them started by hand. And again, these don't want to be tight, they just want to be nipped into position. Right, just nipped. That's it, done. The new pads that came with this set have a brake wear sensor, but we don't need that. I could just cut it off, to be honest. Actually, no, I think I will. Don't need it, there's nothing to plug it into. It's only going to get in the way, isn't it? There we go. Okay, so I forgot to film this bit before, so I took the wheel back off. The last thing you should do, and just as important, is to fit this retaining clip, this spring retaining clip to the caliper. Holds it in place. If that's missing, it's an MOT failure as well, so shows how important it actually is. When all is done, check your level, make sure it's not above the maximum, and then put the cap on. If it is above the maximum, then just get a syringe and take a little bit out. New disc and pads fitted, both sides. Should be no more problems with the brakes. I've done the front and the back. I'll put a link for the back ones there. The front are probably easier than the back ones, but 6 2/3. Hope you found it useful anyway. If you did, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel to see more on the van. But for now, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.